All right. This is a font licensing agreement that you can find online. So let's just go through it and see what we can and cannot do with this font that they've created. So at the very beginning it says this is a binding legal agreement, which means in the court of law you can be sued if you use this typeface without having a license for it or following the rules for it. So it talks about the grant of license. This license to use this font software is not exclusive. So in other words, how we talked about Starbucks, you cannot buy exclusive rights to this typeface. Okay? It's non-transferable. So if you are a company that's used this typeface because you bought the license for it, it means if you sell your company, that's not transferable. That whoever bought your company is going to have to pay for it again. And then it goes on to installation. It's saying that the number of end users identified when you purchased it are allowed to use it. So if this is a big company, you may say 5 users are going to use it, 10 users are going to use it. Or if you're by yourself, you'll say 1 user will use it. And that's where that end user identity comes in. Now, the font software may be installed on not more than 2 computers, workstation and laptop, an iPad or other portable device used as a substitute for workstation. So if you buy 1 license for this, you could put it on your laptop and you could put it on your iPad. So it's telling you can put it on 2 different things, but if you go any further than that, you're going to have to buy more license to put it on things. And so it goes on to talk about design usage. You can use it in the creation of part of your logo. So that is permitted. You're allowed to do that. Use of the font software in the creation of design works, raster images, websites, all of that stuff, you're allowed to use it. You're allowed to save 1 software backup. So you could put it on an external hard drive. You could put it in Google Drive, something like that. Talks about refunds. It's telling you that he's not gonna offer you a refund. You need to make sure this is what you want to buy before you do it. The only way that you're going to get a refund is if something was damaged in the font software itself. Now it talks about limited embedding. And so when we talk about embedding, we're talking about in this aspect as far as the use as our commercial or professional nature, such as but not limited to multimedia, CDs, DVDs, or other prohibited uses distributed physically online require the purchase of a special license. So in certain aspects, you have to have a special license to be able to show this. But I don't think that us as designers would have that problem. Some of the things it's talking about are like big movie productions and things like that you would have a legal team that would help you through this. It talks about software embedding. Whenever you get to the publishing class, you're going to talk about embedding things so that you can send them off to the printer. And so what it's talking about is that you're allowed to do that. It's just the printer has to delete that off after they use it. So there's some other things in here that you can read through. Moving on to web usage. This is for putting it on websites. And so it's talking about letterform and alphabet products include but are not limited to. You're allowed to use it in scrapbooking. Individual letter forms are included, those kinds of things, adhesive stickers, all of that. So it talks about what you can and cannot use it on. And it talks about personal products for resale. Again, if you're designing a t-shirt or something like that, it's going to tell you if you're allowed to sell it on there or not. Kind of scrolling down, as a design credit. So if you were using this in a film and you have the credit page, you'd have to credit them and they tell you exactly how to do it. They tell you what the artwork is restricted to. And then you're not allowed to use what he created and make your own version of it. That's called derivative works, and you're not allowed to do that. So you would need to read that if that's what you were thinking about doing. So it keeps on going about like termination. If you fail to follow any of this stuff, then they can terminate your license and you can be sued. Compliance with law, those kinds of things. So I want you to take the time and read through this whole thing word for word, and understand that you as a designer are going to be held to these licensing. You need to make sure when you're designing for companies or clients that you make sure that the typefaces that you use and the fonts that you use, you're allowed to use in those situations. And so the best way to do that is to look up the licensing agreement of that to make sure that you're allowed to do that. even free fonts that you download online still have a license agreement with them. So you need to read through that so that you or your client doesn't get sued in the future.